Welcome back to My Mythical Meta, your gaming podcast that's actually your secret friendship podcast. My name is Travis, and I'm joined this week by my brother Benjamin.
Hello.
And by my good friend Derek.
Peace. What's up?
Randy is still sick. He tried to show up for the recording, and it sounded so gross, and we said no.
Said, go home. You're sick.
So he was not scared. That was a joke last week. He really is sick, and it was so disgusting. We did not want to put it on the recording. But say hi to yet another new recording software, boys.
Hello, recording software.
The people have spoken. Our beautiful faces are what they want. And so they're going to get it.
I don't know
We're
about
going to
that.
try yet another new software. We're on a software called Riverside today, and it seems to have worked well in the past. My brother and I did a practice recording with it, so we are going to see how it works today. Welcome to this week's news from the Warfront. Really, Derek? Just full-on, full-body yawning?
It's gonna be all episode, man. I'm tired.
That is one of the downsides of video. Normally, when I yawn, I just hit mute. No one knows.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
well,
on full
I don't
on
even hit
display.
mute. I want
I
y'all
need
to.
you guys, we have got a really big shakeup in the Magic community this week for our news from the Warfront. Now, this is a Magic episode, but Benjamin has got something that everybody needs to hear, a kind of preemptive word of wisdom for today's news from the Warfront. Go ahead.
Yeah, the stuff we talk about, while Magic-centric, actually applies to any game that is run by a ruling body, and especially when it's run by the same people that stand to make money from it. So, we talk a lot, especially in Season 1, about mobile games that we used to be a part of, where they're releasing new things every week or whatever, and they have formats that they're trying to get you into. This will apply to even to role-playing games where they're releasing new editions.
Yeah,
right?
we used to talk about Marvel Strike Force. We used to talk about Gundam Battle. I used to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel.
Mm-hmm.
So all of what we used to talk about, that's going to apply today too. Keep going, sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I don't want you to go, they're talking Magic again, let's tune out. If you play any game that has new game pieces coming in constantly, a collectible card game or a living game or whatever, and where certain things get banned or nerfed or the point values change or whatever, then what we talk about today will apply to your game. And I want you to at least hear the high level comments we make and think about what that has to do with you and your game.
Pretty cocky, Benjamin, claiming we have high level comments to make.
That's true.
But...
We have not rehearsed, but I assume assume that Derek's got the good stuff for us.
All we have is a very brief outline. So, Derek, I'm really going to need you to tune in and make some high level comments, just like last week. I think you can do it. Okay, so
You're putting too much pressure on me.
Yes,
I
that's
feel
that's
like
why we pay you the big bucks.
Oh, you're right. That's my bad. I'm gonna lock in right now.
That's why we pay you a $40 Canes card every Christmas.
That's right. Every Christmas being once.
Being one so far. Hey, we're getting close to a second one, y'all.
I know the path to my heart.
We're getting close.
That's true.
It is so important that we jumped on this week's news from the Warfront, this week's big announcement in the Magic community, especially because we felt last week's announcement was important to jump on. And Derek, you were the one saying, like, hey, this happened on a Monday. We have got to get our material out this week. We've got to make these timely comments. And the same thing is happening today.
Yeah.
Last week's news was September 23rd. Last week's news was about a ban update in the Commander format. And this week's news is about a big shakeup, a big fallout from those bans. What
Before
has
we
happened in the community? Go ahead.
before we go on, how are y'all feeling a week later about the bans? Y'all still hot?
Yeah, I still don't like them, and today's news that we're about
Yeah.
to cover makes me even more worried about them. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I feel the same way. Like last week, I don't remember if if I made a comment that said, "Man, I think the ban list needs to be run by Wizards." I may have said something like
Yeah.
that, and now I feel bad about saying
Just the
yeah.
monkey paw curling one time.
precisely.
Well,
Yeah,
and part
I go
part
ahead.
of why I'm still hot is because we just today, so this if you're watching, it was like 3 or 4 days ago,
Mhm.
released a new deck tech, and I spent like 5 minutes of that deck tech talking about how Mana Vault was especially good for that deck,
Mana
even more
Crypt.
Mana Crypt, yes, sorry.
Yeah,
Was especially good for that deck, and I said take it out of your other decks and put it in this one because it's even better.
yeah.
And now it's gone. That's like so, and just listening to it this morning, I was like, yeah, oh, it just made me it hurt.
It it has so much ick on it.
Yeah,
It feels like it's dripping with Phyrexian ooze because we talked for so long and it fits so well, and now the Darien deck can't even use Mana Crypt.
yeah.
Can't even use it. God, that deck was struggling, and now it can't even use Mana Crypt. So
It only
that was a joke.
struggles. It only struggles because he didn't put enough lands in it.
That's true too. So that's what this week's episode is about. Is about the fallout of the fallout of last week's bans, the great culling of September 23rd, in
Yeah,
which the rules committee takes a hard line against Ramp.
yeah.
And
A
the,
hard line. One of dozens.
takes a soft, permeable line against Ramp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Before we talk about some of that fallout, there's something that I think is very important to remember. The rules committee, up until this point, was not an employee group of Wizards or any Magic leadership.
Mm-hmm.
They had been judges in the past for competitive Magic events, but none of them were any longer employed by Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah.
As far as I understand.
It was actually a really cool volunteer committee that somehow just gained this power, and everybody just kind of went along with it. One of the
Yeah.
triumphs of community gaming.
Yeah. I mean, they were just nerds.
Yeah.
They were just a group of nerds who ran Magic's most popular format.
Mm-hmm.
More people were playing Commander than any other format, and they were running it for free on top of their other jobs and their families.
Yeah.
That takes a monumentous collective effort to collect data from the community, to meet regularly, to discuss. They had regular Twitch streams that people could hop on and watch their gameplay
Mm-hmm.
and ask questions all the time. They were a very open group who committed a ton of time and effort to managing this format. And now, the new announcement that we've kind of, I guess we haven't gotten to yet, the rules committee has officially transferred the reins to Magic the Gathering.
To Wizards of the Coast.
So Magic the Gathering, that runs Vintage, Legacy, Modern, Standard, all of the other official gameplay formats, they now run Commander also.
Mm-hmm.
And it's tough. It's tough to see dystopian capitalism win.
Yeah. I mean,
I don't know. We had hoped that the rules committee would stay strong, I guess.
yeah, and I mean, they kind of brought this like I don't know if we are assuming that this is it backlash from the bans or if it's them if this has been in the works for a while. I assume they don't make a decision like this spur of the moment, right?
Sure.
But if it is a result of the ban, I feel like they kind of brought it on themselves because there are people out there that were part of the commander advisory group, that were part of the I mean, lots of people saying this was a bad idea that they apparently just did not consult before
Yeah.
doing this. My understanding is that every ban in the history of Commander had been unanimous until this one, and they overruled. I guess there was at least one person, because I saw their resignation on
Dang.
X, that was like I didn't agree with this. I'm resigning from the rules committee, and
Yeah.
so I don't know. I feel like they had a chance to do it right, and now there's no coming back from it. But they could have continued and regained trust, but it looks like they instead just went, "I'm out." So
I mean, like you said, there's a ton of things we don't know. We don't know if this was a long-term decision. If it was a long-term decision, I'm wondering why they would have gone through with the bans.
yeah,
If it had been in the works for a while, then why would they have made a ban announcement before doing it?
Yeah, I don't think it was.
It seems like a spur of the moment thing. Now, obviously the biggest reason for that is that, shamefully, a small vocal minority of nerds was sending
Losers.
absolute losers, scum of the earth, were sending death threats and threats of violence to members of the rules committee and the commander advisory group.
yeah.
This is unconscionable. It's so stupid. I mean, as you guys know, one of my other fandoms is The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
Mm-hmm.
And this stuff happens to contestants and leads on The Bachelor and Bachelorette all the time.
That's crazy.
They watch reality TV, they see people get in arguments, and then this vocal, unhinged contingent of the audience thinks that it's a good idea. Some path of logic has connected in their mind to think, I really need to reach out and threaten this person with violence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it makes no sense at all. It's completely unhinged. We do not condone that course of action.
No.
Ever. That is absolutely ridiculous. We don't think it should have happened. And if you out there are thinking that somebody really needs a threat of violence or somebody really needs a personal message of hate from you, please rethink that.
Institutionalize
Don't do
yourself.
Seek help.
Seek medication.
Yeah. Not okay.
And we don't say that lightly or to make fun, but
No.
please, it is just not the right course of action, you know?
Right.
Write in your diary or something the way you're feeling.
Save it for your art.
I know, save it for your art. Paint
Yeah.
a picture, but you know, there's got to be another outlet for this.
Yeah.
And the most money that, well, I guess I shouldn't say that. I was going to say, if you owned all four of these cards that got banned, then you lost, what, $300-ish?
I mean, if you,
And then the MTG Finance people who owned lots of copies of something, well, they obviously lost a lot more.
Yeah. I saw some people saying they lost like $2,500 or $3,000. You know, if you had a mana crypt in all your decks and you have 10 decks, then
another reason to follow Derek's school of proxying.
Proxy it. It's
Own
free.
one. You know, own one or don't own any and get all the benefits from it. So we wanted to get that elephant out of the room, or address the elephant in the room that death threats are inappropriate. They're not going to solve what you want, and in fact, they're instead perhaps going to ruin the good thing we had.
Yeah, because having that independent committee meant that they were making decisions for the good of the format with no monetary incentive. Now, last week Derek suggested maybe they were trying to play the game of sell all their stuff before they ban it and all that. There doesn't appear to be data that supports a giant sell-off.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
but I mean, but considering how tiny the ban list was going into this, they were pretty much on board with the just play what you want. Now, some of the stuff on the ban list was pretty silly. We talked about that last week, but they didn't just regularly ban things. So Commander was a very stable format. Now we're about to see what happens.
Very stable.
Yeah,
you could go years with announcements that said no changes to the ban list.
Yeah,
no changes, and it's like, great. I like that announcement.
Yeah,
no change.
Best announcement ever.
Feels good.
Yeah.
So the rules committee has officially handed over the reins of the format to Magic the Gathering. There are some pros and cons to this. The internet has obviously kind of done all this postulating for us, and we have found some reasons that we think why it could be good or bad. We want to at least address some of those. Which ones do y'all want to do first? Do y'all want to talk about why this might be good or why it might be bad?
Let's talk about why it might be bad first, so we can maybe end on a high note. So, finances. So, the people who make the money are also in charge of the ban list. And you see this with gacha games. You see this with, when they want to prop up a new product, but it's not competing with the old product, you just ban the old product, right?
I got you. Yeah.
So, Yu-Gi-Oh did that a lot, where it's like, we want to make new stuff, but we don't want to power creep, so we just ban instead. Or they power creep too. Yeah, and you see this especially with Standard, where their ultimate goal isn't the health of the game; it's the purchasing of product. And if they can,
it's that bottom line for the shareholders.
You've got to get the financial drip. The financial drip must continue into the IV of Hasbro.
Yeah, and the flip side, I mentioned like banning to sell new product, but there's also not banning when something should be banned because you don't want to stop selling product. So if you have a Commander Precon or Double Masters or some sort of set that has a card in it that should be banned, but it's currently in print, it's just not going to be banned. They're just going to wait.
Yeah.
I
was gonna say, like, imagine Nadu's not a great example since they banned it in Modern, but imagine a problematic card like Nadu. Maybe it's
like Thassa's Oracle.
Yeah, it's a $50 card or something, and it's not being banned, even though it's killing the format and competitive play or casual play, because it's a chase card that they can use to sell packs and sets in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. People are going to keep buying Commander Masters, Commander Masters 2 or whatever, if it's got Thassa's Oracles in it, if it's got Mana Vaults in it.
Yeah.
They're going to leave them. They're going to leave them be so that people will keep buying products.
When you combine the ban incentive with the profit incentive, they can start to get a little wonky, right? Because what makes the most money is not always the happiness of the players. It's the wallet of the players. And the wallet and the happiness not always hand in hand.
Yeah. So this kind of goes hand in hand with it also. WOTC, Wizards, they've been trying to do this, I think, for a long time. We've seen this in card design. They want to sell more product to Commander players.
Mm-hmm.
And so each new set has cards specifically designed for Commander. Each new set has cards that are a little more powerful or a little better than an existing card. And they want Commander to be a rotating format.
Yeah.
They want Commander to be the money machine that Standard is and that Modern Horizons is. If they say we can get new cards into Modern or we get new cards into Standard, they want to do the same thing with Commander because that's what's going to make them more money. And so I think it's a strong possibility that we see even more power creep after this change than we did before.
Yeah.
Magic is a 30-year-old game at this point, almost, right? Did we hit 30?
Yeah, we've hit 30.
Yeah. I remember
it was like a 30th anniversary. That was like
the 30th anniversary.
$1,000 proxies.
Convention box set up. Oh, that's another controversy.
Yeah.
The $1,000 proxies that are unplayable in any format.
Yeah.
So by printing more and more powerful cards each set, even just a little bit, make a reclamation sage that's a 3/3 instead of a 2/1 or whatever.
Well, if I can counter that,
sure.
They're already doing that, whether they were in control of the product or not. So that was always going to happen because they got to sell cards to, make a buck or whatever.
But the difference is that if they ever screwed up, the rules committee could ban it.
Yeah, true.
There was a check. There was a check on their card making.
Yeah, if they could not accelerate, they could not jump the shark, because they could just ban that, say rewind, shark not jumped, commanders can continue. Wizards will instead protect their latest set or whatever that they're printing for, and will allow the shark to be jumped, and we continue off into the sunset.
That's what I meant where I said ban protection for new cards. Is new cards that might have been too extreme or shark jumping, they won't be banned because Wizards will want to sell more and more and more of them.
Yeah. Okay.
The rules committee, later in this announcement, they claim to still be involved, but in an advisory capacity. I think that's a strange turn of phrase, seeing as the rules committee had a group called the Commander Advisory Group that they largely ignored.
Yeah.
I worry that the rules committee will be largely ignored now that Magic itself is in charge.
I mean, they'll have to be, because how can Wizards justify having paid employees that have this job and an unpaid, unassociated, out of control group that they're gonna just listen to? I'm not saying they're out of control like they're crazy. They're just, Wizards does not control them, right? And if these groups disagree, then I'm gonna listen to the one I'm paying for their opinion, who have my best interest, right? Because I hired them to look out for my bottom line. And if they agree, there's no need for that volunteer group. So,
precisely.
So yeah, I don't think that they will have any. They'll continue to have any more effect than any other influencer does, right? Any
right.
high profile player on X or Twitch or whatever. So,
and the rules committee has kind of, man, this last ban announcement really took a lot of the rule committee's goodwill that it had, and just it was the wrong time to get rid of it, the wrong time to get rid of that built up trust, that built up goodwill, right before you turn the reins over to Magic. Because now, whatever court of public opinion you might have had behind you, a lot of people just aren't interested in speaking up for them in the same way that they might have before.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if we talked about it. Maybe I zoned out or something. The rules committee people, they were, volunteer people. So it's as if the four of us, Randy included, decided okay, here's, general or something. We've made the list or whatever. And then we make some kind of controversial thing and we get death threats. It's why am I doing this? This is for free.
Yep.
Yeah.
Why would I don't want to receive death threats. This already takes up time. It's something I want to do. So I think, them giving over the reins to someone who can, weather the storms better. WOTC makes bad decisions all the time. It's not their first rodeo.
And they have the lawyers they need.
Yeah.
They have the Pinkertons they need.
Yeah.
There you go.
They'll be fine.
Yeah.
They'll be fine.
The conspiracy theorist in me thinks that they made the bans so that we would like the transfer of power more. Because if they had all that built up goodwill that you were talking about, and then they were like, so we've been talking and we decided we should give this to WOTC, everybody would be freaking out about it. And now half or more of the community are kind of like, well, if you're going to screw up like this anyway, might as well. Might as well have Wizards be in charge. So I can see that.
I mean, I feel bad that last week I was saying Yeah, Wizards admitted they got Nadu wrong and banned it in Modern.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fine following those coattails.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, man, I wish the rules committee could stick it out some more. But
Yeah.
you know,
I mean, how much do y'all think it has to do with Sheldon Minery dying? Like, I feel like he was kind of the guiding force on that, and now that he's gone, it feels like they're kind of leaderless. Like, who's? I mean, I don't pay attention to them, so I don't know who
I don't know
they.
the name of literally any other rules
Yeah,
committee member.
there's some guy I saw named Jim. I don't know if he's the one that, like, I guess was talking about giving over power or whatever. I don't know if he's the head guy now or what. But they're leaderless. No one has the not experience or stomach for the leadership. But, like, I don't know. He was a guy that, good call or bad call, he could take it on the chin and keep going to the next
You
day.
mean Sheldon was?
Yeah, Sheldon was.
Yeah,
and now
totally
I feel like
agree.
they don't have that person anymore.
Sheldon was certainly a mouthpiece for the format, and he did an article every week about Commander, and yeah, sometimes he had hot takes that people didn't agree with, but that's not going to be any different than having a bad match at a table with somebody on a Friday.
Yeah.
There's going to be no difference in that. And so even when he did be like, here are some cards I don't like in Commander, Wound Reflection, even then I was like, I mean, it's not a great card to not like,
Right.
but you do you, Sheldon.
Yeah, it's like me saying I want to ban Jaleva.
Yeah, like even Sheldon not liking Wound Reflection, it wasn't banned. He was the kind of person who was saying, like, what is it? I will defend to the death your right to be wrong.
Right.
Your free speech or whatever. He was the guy who said, I'm gonna take the slings and arrows so that you can make whatever deck you want to.
Yeah.
Or that's what it felt like, and I did always respect him for that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, do you want to switch over to some pros?
Yeah. I mean,
there might be some lights at the end of this tunnel. There might be some positives that come out of this.
right.
Yeah.
Let me inject some mid episode words of wisdom here.
Okay, go for it.
The ability to lead a happy life comes from being able to accept your situation and seeing the good that can come ahead. And so we are living in a world where Wizards of the Coast is now in control of the ban list for Commander. And you can either throw away your cards and something that's brought you joy for the last decade or more of your life, or you can suck it up and keep playing. And if you choose the latter option, here's some things you could look forward to in the future, hopefully. So
thank you for real for saying that. I certainly think that's a life skill, and with how much we enjoy Magic, we're talking about it right now on a Monday when we could be sleeping, or we could be hanging out with our wives. Wink. Hey, and we're on video now. People might see the wink. I don't have to say it out loud. We're talking about this game because we care about it, because we love it so much.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun.
People gripe about things that they love because they care. And I know that it seems paradoxical, that it's weird, that sometimes it doesn't seem to make sense that the people who hate Magic the most are the ones who love it the most.
Yeah.
Must be the Star Wars fans.
Oh my god, that's why I got my Star Wars tattoo covered.
Way better than Star Wars
fans are the worst.
Yeah.
What'd you say, Benjamin? We're better than Star Wars fans?
Yeah, better than Star Wars fans.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
I don't know about that.
Star Wars fans are rabid.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on Benjamin's side.
Magic tattoo covered yet?
Exactly. Now, what are you going to do when they ban Soul Ring and you've got your Soul Ring up your sleeve? I'm going to call you a cheater every game.
Oh, yeah, I probably will get it covered if they ban Soul Ring. I'll
Really?
be so sad.
No.
I think so.
Just rock it, dude.
I don't know. So
he just wants
let's
to
talk
get
about some
tattooed some more.
I do just want to get tattooed some more. God damn.
Here, we're on camera. Show off your Soul Ring.
We can't see it. Boo! That's a forearm. Boo!
He's got a
Spider-Man looking ass.
There
Got a
you
little
go.
American traditional Soul Ring design here. That way I always got my Soul Ring up my sleeves.
Nice.
Very happy with that tattoo, actually.
Okay, so yes, some pros. Sorry to interrupt you. You were telling us about data collection. Why is that so good?
No, you're good. So there is some positives here. That Magic has so much more tools than the Rules Committee ever did because they are a, multinational $1 million business conglomerate run by Hasbro. They have so many data collection tools. And if Magic moderates in good faith, if they do what they say they're doing and they care about the health of the format, then they're going to have so many more tools to gather information about how the game is being played. Magic's Twitter account, Magic's X, Instagram, YouTube, they've got more followers than the Rules Committee did. And so they can get lots more feedback than the Rules Committee ever could.
Plus, imagine you're a new player just getting into, like my friend Justin just got it with Bloomburrow because of the cute animals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he doesn't know anything about the Rules Committee. If he ever wants to jump into Commander, his first instinct is going to be, let me go check on Wizards for what I need to know about Commander stuff. And it's like, oh, it's just some third party
it's just a
nobody's.
third party of volunteers. What?
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes more sense. It's more user friendly. The universal interface, the UI, the path of knowledge that a new person needs to follow is going to be much easier to find the information they need, and Wizards is going to have the tools they need to disseminate information on a wider spectrum.
Yeah,
I think the user interaction experience is going to be much better.
Yeah. Plus, they have actual data scientists and psychology scientists. They have actual people whose job is to look at everything they're seeing and understand. People didn't like this set because of X, Y, and Z. Maybe let's try something different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and all that stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
I like that.
And they use that as part of with Magic Online. People still play Commander on Magic Online. They can actually, unlike any other thing the Rules Committee had access to, they can see what decks are like when they have a perfect shuffler, when they have chess clocks, and they can track the amount of times a card appears in a deck. They can track the number, the win percentage with certain cards and certain combinations, so they can see if it's actually unhealthy or if it's just a vocal minority complaining a lot, because they can see it in different combinations: 2 players, 3 players, 4 players, and they run those things online a lot. So it's actually really useful with the data collection. And then they have surveys that they send out. Every once in a while, I'll get an email, tell us about this new set and what's your experience playing Magic. And the Rules Committee had none of that. So like you said, all the data scientists and collection and all of that, they actively do it with their other formats, and now they can actively do it with Commander. So I think that'll be
and it's also not their first rodeo. They've been doing this for 30 years. They've been in business longer than some of I don't know what the demographics of Magic look like, but 30 years old, that's pretty long, and it might be older than a lot of your actual players.
For a trading card game?
Yeah, for a trading card game, yeah. So I they know what they're doing, even though that's to the end of, making a buck.
Yeah, there were some people on Reddit who now obviously Commander also has players from other formats, and it's so funny because modern players were all just like, you get used to it.
Yeah.
Well,
I've had my $1,200 modern deck, the key card banned out from it before, so if you want to keep playing, you keep playing. If you don't, you don't. That's all.
When I was doing competitive modern,
what it boils down to.
I had a couple of tier decks that got banned, and that's when I stopped playing tier decks in modern. I still competed, but
you go in with the rogue decks.
I go in with the rogue decks now. They're not quite as expensive, because once you have the staple land base, you can just your all the other pieces are cheap for a rogue deck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had it happen, and one of the things I liked about Commander was how I've got decks that I haven't touched in 4 years that I can pull out and
Same.
still play, and they'll be roughly the same power level.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So that's so yes, you do get used to it, but it's not. That is to me a con. If it becomes like Modern, I might have to move on.
Oh.
Yeah. Kind of going along with what you said about data collection and Magic Online, that we might see actual Commander support on Arena now.
Yeah, I would love that.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Arena's interface is so much more exciting than Magic Online's is. The animations, the creatures, like I said, the UI is just easier to understand, I think. And right now, if you want the Commander experience on Arena, you're playing Brawl.
Yeah.
You're playing
Yeah.
historic Brawl.
Plus, I mean,
Which is not bad. I had some fun playing historic Brawl, but
yeah,
it's not
Arena
Commander,
has
though.
a lot of standard players. I think that's where like the standard players go now. So it would be nice to be able to play with, play Commander with strangers from across
Yeah.
the country or the globe or whatever. Because I mean, sometimes we all four can't get together, or maybe I just want to play or something. It'd be nice to
Or
be able
you've
to
got a
get a
deck you
game.
want to test out. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that would be great if I can, run it through the thing, get ready for you guys.
Yeah. That'd be crazy. A couple other pros. Derek, this was yours.
Oh yeah. So when we were talking about the rules committee just getting tons of hate and death threats,
Yeah.
unacceptable. But Wizards, like I said, they've done this before. They've been in business for 30 years. They've made unpopular decisions, and they have taken them all on the chin and moved on to the next day. Like poor Mark Rosewater, he's kind of the mouthpiece of Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah.
But it's hard. Other than him, like name one other Wizards of the Coast person. It's hard to just
Gavin.
hate an entity. Like I can hate an entity.
Okay, Gavin, yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. Or hate a corporation just for kind of their. I won't get into it. Anyways, so like it's just kind of shouting your hate into the void, and that just disappears. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
some people from Wizards are going through the comments and all that stuff, and maybe they'll see it, but I don't know. I feel like it's just screaming into the void. You just want to be heard, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. That WOTC is this, faceless megacorp, and I don't think Arasaka or Militech care if I say, death to corpos.
Corpo rats.
Like, that doesn't affect them at all because nothing is going to happen from it. And I think Wizards and Hasbro is the same way. They're just like, yeah, good luck.
Yeah.
We can hire actual ninjas. Can you? So yeah, I think Wizards is going to be fine. So we've got something listed on the pros and cons for both, but we haven't spoken about it yet. The announcement about the transfer of power came with a new announcement about a communication project that Wizards and the Rules Committee are working on and designing for Commander players specifically, with the goal of helping players find fair games. Last week they called it the Silver Border Project, and this week they're calling it a bracket system. So who knows what eventually is going to roll out from this. But like I said last week, I do think this is a worthy goal. Something, again, coming from the company. Some common language about how people can discuss their decks together and how people can do their part to communicate well and find a fair match.
Yeah, I would love it. This is what I was raging against in my hot take episode about power levels. The one we have is not workable. It does not work.
Yeah.
And I'm hopeful that this, just from like the description they talked about, where like, oh, if you've got, it's not competitive EDH, but like if you've got like high priced tutors, or like the good tutors and this and that, it's like you might be in bracket 4. Whereas,
if you got a precon or lower.
might be bracket 1, maybe bracket 2. So we're going to have to see a lot more information before we can figure out if it's going to be good or bad. But I'm hopeful. I would love to just say, like, yeah, I've got, 4 cards that may go into a tier 4 deck, but without them, it's probably like a tier 2 deck or something.
Yeah, without them, it's tier 2 or tier 3. I think that's a smart move too, is to have a category of cards that they say this card is tier 3, and if this card's in your deck, then your deck is tier 3 because you could draw it and you could perform at that level.
Yeah.
They take those low cost tutors, like you just said, and said these are tier 4 cards. So if you're going to put these cards in your deck, you've got a tier 4 deck because if you draw them, that's the level it's going to perform at. I honestly like that. I think it sounds quick and easy to discuss with other people. And again, if it's coming from Magic's Twitter account, or if this is coming from Magic's YouTube channel, a lot more people are going to see it, and a lot more people are going to use it, because all of these other measurement statistics or standards that people have come up with, well, you may only know it if you listen to the Command Zone, or if you listened to Commander's Brew 3 years ago, or if you listened to My Mythical Meta. Like, only 70 people listen to My Mythical Meta. So if you think they have the absolute best deck grading standards, but then nobody else knows about it, it's still not useful. Like, that's what communication is about. You have to be intelligible to other people, and if nobody else knows what you're talking about, then it's not actually that useful.
Yeah.
So it coming from a big central entity, I think, is going to make a big, big difference.
Yeah.
And if it works to be able to sit down at a pod and say, y'all want to have a bracket 3 game? And everybody go, okay, I have this group of decks in bracket 3. That would be amazing.
That'd be incredible.
Just bring at least one. Always have at least one deck in every bracket, and then whatever else you want to do.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
Now, I hear that description. I think it sounds great, but I also think that there are 30,000 cards in Magic.
Yeah, how are you possibly going to do this with that many cards?
Llanowar Elves is a very different card in some decks than it is in, based on who the commander is or whatever. So, I don't know.
There's so much nuance that could go into any single game. Like, how could one system ever do it?
Well,
putting one number on it.
My understanding is that they're going to use that data that we talked about earlier, and they're going to assign point values to not just to cards, but to groups of cards. So that if you have these 4 cards in a deck, they synergize well enough together that adds some extra points. Now, and so you could go, and of course this is probably a long way in the future, but you could go put your deck list into a thing, and it'll tell you
deck grader.
Yeah, and it'll tell you what your point value is and what bracket your deck is in based on the cards that you told it you had in your deck. I know that there
Architect.
Architect does that.
Yeah, they have like assault scum. I
always like looking at my Architect salt score.
Yeah.
Y'all,
I did that with Randy's Darien deck. It has a very high salt score.
I believe it. It's got all those
50 something.
Yeah. I imagine it's mostly like Drannith Magistrate, the Mana Crypt, Smothering Tithe, etc.
Yeah. But it has a assault sum and a power level score. I'm on there right now, so let me see. But I think it's possible already. There's a new card game that I'm getting ready to try that's their ambition, is that they won't have formats that rotate. They will just have formats similar to like Magic has Pauper, where they just say, this is the number of points you get. Bring a deck, whatever deck you can handle with that many points. And so that could be interesting if that's what happens with Commander.
And Derek, we did that with old X-Wing.
Yeah.
We could say instead of a 100-point list, okay, we're all rolling up with one 30-point ship.
Yeah.
So shrink down and create a list like that. And if you want 2 15s, you can go for it, but whatever you can fit into 30 points. So I think that sounds like a fun way to deck build. We could certainly do that for Secret Santas. Be like, okay, guys, make a 75-point deck.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that sounds like a lot of fun. Do you guys have any last thoughts you want to add about the bracket system?
I hope it's good. I hope it works out.
I'm optimistic.
Yeah.
They've got the technology tools and the programmers they need to make something work. They've got the data collection like we talked about. And I hope that our listeners can appreciate like the exponential increase of resources at Magic's disposal than there ever was at the Rules Committee's disposal.
Yeah.
Like the Rules Committee's website looked like it was from 1995.
Yeah.
So like consider the amount of money now and the resources, the technology that can be used to make Commander a better format. I think if we're optimistic and if we can maintain the hope and the belief that the people designing Magic cards and the people who are hired to work for Wizards, that they love gaming, I don't think anybody applies to Wizards or applies to work at Magic if they didn't like the game or if they didn't want to play it or see it succeed. That's my hope. And so I think if Magic moderates our game in good faith, then I think there's a lot of good things we can look forward to.
Yeah. And we've mentioned before, but Commander is WOTC's cash cow. And so now suddenly they have full reign of the format, for better or worse. But I mean, they want to keep the cash cow happy, so they're gonna try to do what they can. I think, like you said, in good faith, that they're gonna, try to be good stewards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Benjamin, do you have any words of wisdom for us?
More words of wisdom?
Like I said, I know it's a news from the war front, but man, these events have got me hot under the collar, man.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm worrying for the future.
Well, I feel like be optimistic until they give us reason not to, right? Trust but verify, right? Obviously, always be watching, but yeah, I think
vigilant.
That ever vigilant. Make sure that you keep abreast of these things, of whatever's going on in your game, so that you know how to communicate with other players. Ultimately, the rules committee, the ban lists, the formats themselves, right? These formats that we're talking about right now were created by players. WotC didn't create Commander. They didn't create Tiny Leaders. They didn't create Oathbreaker. They didn't create...
What are they always saying on Reddit? Tiny Leaders, Kamigawa Block Limited Commander.
Right?
Something like that.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you want to play a certain way, get people on board, communicate with them. If you're playing in a thing that's large enough that you might play with strangers, then pay attention to what's going on, right? And then enjoy it till you don't. And when you don't, move on, right? But
and
for
it's
now,
okay.
It's
okay to move on.
It's okay. And don't.
Let's also talk about worst case scenario. Let's imagine that
Derek.
they. Well, hold on.
No.
If Wizards just completely drops the ball, ruins the format. We created Commander with just like fan stuff. Why can't we do it again?
Yes.
Now it's captain, it's general, it's lieutenant, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
With our own stuff. Like we're not trapped with WotC. WotC's trapped with us.
That's correct.
Rorschach, I'm not locked in here with you.
Yeah.
You're locked in here with me.
I mean, but you're right, and that was kind of the point of what I was saying, is that if they go and ruin it, we can keep playing in the way that we were having fun with.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Let's do it. All right? So that's my word of wisdom. If it stops being fun, go back to when it was fun. Until then, maybe there's new fun to unlock. Right. So.
Love it. Beautiful. Benjamin, where can people find our Patreon?
At www.patreon.com/mymythicalmeta.
Derek.
Don't ask me, I don't know.
how can people email us directly?
I don't know.
With questions or with possible news from the war fronts?
Is it mymythicalmeta@gmail.com?
It is!
Oh.
Come on, Derek. You should feel proud. You sat in on enough recording sessions that eventually osmosised its way into your
God,
brain.
I was worried.
I'm very proud of you. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And Benjamin, Derek, thank y'all for being my great friends. Adios.
Later, guys.
This episode was sponsored by Eldorado Gaming. Use the promo code META for 10% off your order. Please like, comment, subscribe, and share. This episode was edited by me, Travis Konishek, and our intro and outro music is by Tyler Heath of the Oh Hellos.